Hey guys, it's Jacques here from MakuluLinux. I just want to update the users on the progress on the KDE version that I'm currently working on. Today I'm going to go into a little bit more detail than the last video. Last video I was kind of just showing off a couple of flashy effects. Today I'm actually going to speak about a couple of the decisions that I made and how I got there. Firstly, I just want to show the current resource usage on this system. It's currently using 381 megs of RAM, so that is almost that's like something out of the blue for KDE, since I have a lot of stuff enabled. I've got widgets enabled, I've got special effects enabled, I've got shadows enabled, I've got reflections enabled, animations enabled, and I'm running this inside a virtual box, so it's not even running on actual hardware, and it's currently using 381 megs of RAM, as you can see here. So that is brilliant. In any decade, that is just brilliant. Okay, so let's get to the actual fun stuff here. Okay, so this is the new KDE 7.0 that I'm working on. It will also be based on the Ubuntu 14.04 LTS, so it will have almost close on 5-year support left on it. The reason I actually chose to do an Ubuntu based version rather than Debian based version is simple, that at the moment there's a lot of stuff happening with Debian, and I'm kind of just watching how it all plays out. I know I did a Cinnamon Debian release now just a while back, and I'll continue working on that. It's just I don't want to swamp my repos too much with Debian stuff at the moment until Debian kind of finds their feet after the whole Debian scandal a few months ago. So I'm kind of just sitting on the sidelines watching how all of that plays out. I love Debian. I actually love it way more than I do any kind of Ubuntu based system, so I'm kind of just hoping they find their feet quickly so I can get back to working on Debian distros. But for the time being, I've started working on Ubuntu based distributions, and I'm actually quite enjoying it, kind of finding my way around there. And yeah, so this KDE is based on Ubuntu 14.04, just for interest's sake. Right, so let's get to the desktop. So what can users expect from KDE, this KDE version 7.0 or MakuluLinux KDE 7.0? Well, in a nutshell, it's going to be pretty, very pretty, and it's also going to be fast, very fast, and it's going to be very light on resources. I mean, 380 megs of RAM with all the effects turned on is really not bad. I've been watching a lot of reviews of other KDE distributions, and you know, most of them are running here 600 megs of RAM, and that's at boot up, you know. I've already opened a couple of items here, and I've been into Firefox and been into the file manager, and so there's already some stuff using RAM, you know, running in the background. And yeah, so 380 megs of RAM is not bad at all. I'm going to start with the menus, like XFCE and Cinnamon and the Mate version we did before then. I'm going to stick to the traditional dual menu system. So you're going to have a sort of a semi-traditional menu on the left, which in this case is based on Home Run, and you're going to have the Synapse launcher on the right. So since that's become the new popular launcher on Makulu, I've decided to keep that there. So you're going to have the two dual menus in KDE, obviously. The theme is going to be very similar to, I'm trying to keep things as standard as possible, so the theme is going to be very similar to what you've been seeing on the other versions or the other distros that we've released, and that's sort of a very grayish theme with a lot of transparency. In this case you've got the emerald border effects here. So there's a complete 360-degree transparent sort of border running around just about any kind of window that you open up. So that's very, very awesome. And then of course, with the bottom panel being transparent, you kind of get that same feeling you did in XFCE, where it's almost like your windows lying on this sort of layer of just awesomeness, you know, this transparent layer of awesomeness. And that's always nice. I really like that feeling when I'm actually browsing or opening up a window or something else, something like that. So it's a very, very pretty theme. And of course, you know, with these standard icons that we always use, that they all just blend so well. And I've actually got the root. If I open up a root window here, I've set the root theme also grey, but a much lighter grey, and the colors much brighter. You know, you want the user to know that he's actually in root mode, so that he must be careful, you know, with whatever changes he makes. So everything highlights a bright orange, you know, and it's a much lighter grey, the actual theme, but everything highlights this bright orange, so you kind of know you in root. And it also sort of blends very well with the system. So I spent a lot of time on theming, as I always do. I always spend time on themes and so forth. And then I want to come to the second last thing I want to discuss today. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the apps installed on the system, because I'm still busy with all of that. At this point in time, a lot of people, after they saw the first video, have a lot of questions about Compass, and why am I using Compass on KDE, why am I not using Kwin, and you know, all of that. And that's pretty much what I want to get to, but I'll get to that in a minute. The other thing you'll notice is that the clock and the quotes is on the left hand side of the screen and not on the right side of the screen. The reason for that mainly is that I'm not going to be using Variety Wallpaper Changer in this edition, and mainly that is because Variety has a lot of issues with KDE. There are workarounds to getting it to work, and I've used some of the workarounds and they work very well. I mean, I can get Variety to work brilliantly. But the problem with Variety is that for the end user who's going to be running the system, for him to switch between Variety and manually changing wallpapers, it's gonna be an issue and a half. I can already see the Makulu forums being posted daily about that, and I really just think that is something that is just going to cause more hassles than anything else. You know, KDE comes with a built-in slideshow app. It's built into the standard wallpaper features, so you can change wallpapers whenever you want. It's got a lot of widgets, so it's easy to add a clock and a daily quotes widget. Although the daily quotes widget was not available, I had to do a lot of manual work on that, but I got it working. So yeah, so I can do the same stuff without Variety and still keep the same kind of look. It is on the left hand side of the screen, not on the right, but users can easily change that. I mean, you can move stuff wherever. So if you prefer the whole more traditional look like the other Makulu versions did, then you can kind of just drag the clock, and you know, you can kind of drag everything where you want it. So you can put the folders wherever, and you can put the clock on the right, and you can put the quotes on the right, and then just lock your widgets again. I mean, it's that simple if that's really what you want. But on release, I'm still messing around with a lot of the stuff, but most likely I'll have the clock at the top left, the quotes just below that, and the folder will be just under that. So yeah, so users can sort of, you know, that's the nice thing about KDE, is the flexibility to edit just about anything, whatever you want. So, and the widgets are nice, they're there for that reason, so the users can drag that wherever they want. And that's also another thing where Variety doesn't allow you to really change that unless you go into the configs and start, you know, gets messy, where the widgets are easy to drag around. So there we go, you pretty much have the same effect there that you do with Variety. Okay, so with that being said, now onto the big thing, and that is Compass. I have I am running Compass on KDE, and I know a lot of people are going to moan that Compass isn't stable on KDE, and you know, Kwin is better because it's much more stable. And you would be wrong and you would be right at the same time, because Compass on KDE is very unstable, yes, and that's probably one of the reasons a lot of people don't use it. When I first put it on KDE, I had a lot of crashes, just crash after crash. I couldn't enable anything, crash. I'd log into the system would freeze. So I had a lot of issues like that in the beginning, but you know, like everything else, I go to the drawing board, I start working through the bugs, find fixes, you know, and just got to work on it, and I've got it working with no issues. It's running very stable. I mean, I think the last crash I had it's like more than a month ago. So and I use this daily, many hours every day I work on this, so you know, it's running very stable at the moment. So I guess let me try and explain why I use Compass over Kwin. Firstly, you know, not a lot of users aren't going to be running this on actual hardware. You do get the guys that like running it inside a virtual machine, and I'm currently running this inside a virtual machine. And inside a virtual machine you cannot really use many of the effects of Kwin. You need OpenGL on a proper graphics card, and you need a decent graphics card at that as well. You can't just put this Kwin on any old graphics card, because you know, a lot of them can't handle the features, the effects, and then of course you get this slow system. And to be honest, Kwin does slow down the system. I've noticed when Kwin is enabled, the system just, even on modern hardware, you can see that there's a decline in speed. And my focus has always been, you know, beauty and speed, and then of course ease of use. Now the ease of use part is always easy, but making something really pretty and appealing and making it fast, that's always the tricky part. I've always noticed, you know, people don't like reading anything. They don't read the release notes. You spend like half a day typing up this book of release notes, and hardly anybody reads them. People love visual. They want to see photos, they want to see videos, they want to see special effects. You know, these are the things that first sort of catches the eye. You know, once they actually see the video and they go, oh wow, that's awesome, then they might go read the release notes and so forth. So you kind of have to have that edge. You have to have that sort of appeal just to, you know, latch onto. It's pretty much the same as dating. You know, when you walk in anywhere, I know a lot of people say looks aren't everything, but in fact they really are, because when anywhere you walk in, the first thing that people share is physical attraction. You see a girl, she's pretty, you don't know anything about her. All you know is she's got a nice butt. You know, and you take it from there. You later on find out she's got a nice personality, and then you fall in love with her personality or whatever. But initially, you know, the prettiness is what kind of got you latched on in the first place. And it's no different for operating systems or for anything in life, really. And so I really make a point of spending a lot of time to make something look nice and feel nice, because the user must feel nice about his desktop environment. I mean, when I want to use something every day, I really want it to look nice, because it makes me feel good about it. You know, it's not just and I can't understand this about a lot of the guys that release distros nowadays. They leave the end user to configure everything. I mean, they put on a bottom panel a simple menu, a stupid black or white or plain grey theme, nothing special. You know, they might put a conky on the desktop, and that's pretty much it, and doof, there you go, there's a KDE release or whatever, XFCE release or whatever. And I never understand this, because not everybody, I'm just saying a couple of the distros here and there that I've seen, and I never understand this, because the end user might as well just install the default KDE or the default XFCE and do that himself anyway. There's no appeal there, you know. And so I really make a point of working on the themes and working on everything, and the special effects, and just making sure everything blends right and it sits right and just is configured perfectly. I love doing that. You know, I was in game development before Linux development, so sort of prettiness is and cuteness and just the whole 3D part and everything and effects, and that's all pretty much where I that's my strength, really. And I guess that's kind of why you can always expect something pretty from Makulu. But anyway, okay, enough about that. So what I've done is, I don't like Kwin much. I mean, it has its appeal and has its advantages, but at this point in time, I see it as a resource hog. It uses more memory, it requires better hardware to run, and so I thought, you know, I'm gonna try something different. I'm going to make my Compass work. No matter what I have to do, I'm going to get it to work. So I set out, and that's exactly what I did, and I've got Compass working here with all the effects. Emerald as well, so you've got the whole wobbly windows working, you know, and the whole bouncy effects. You got the transparency. You can actually see the clock through here. If I actually drag around here, you can see right through the file manager. So there's a lot of transparency, not just on the borders, but the actual windows as well as the menus too. You know, there's transparency on the menus. You can kind of see the clocks, the dates through the menu there. So the pop-ups, the menus as well, the actual menus are transparent. The console is transparent, you know, and it all just blends with the theme. So there's lots and lots of work that are lots and lots of time that I spent working on this theme. Lots, trust me. This is not easy to do. So I've got a very nice theme. I've got the cube. The cube is fully operational in KDE. I've got the reflections and shadows, and you know, everything is pretty much enabled. I've got the animations working, so if you minimize, maximize. I've got the window previews working. So all effects are operational, and you can easily edit the settings inside Compass. You know, the Compass settings manager is fully operational, as well as the Emerald theme manager, so you can change your borders. What I have done is I've actually removed the Kwin altogether. If you actually open up the system settings editor, you'll see a system settings panel. You'll see there's no effects. There's no effects that can be edited here. So the Kwin effects have been completely removed from the system. You can still change your workspace appearance. You can change your cursors. You can change the actual desktop theme, your splash screen. You can change the application appearance, so the colors, the styles, the icons, the fonts. You know, you can still edit all of those like you would normally be able to do on KDE. Even the workspace behavior, but the actual special effects, the ones that that sort of Kwin sort of live on, they've all been removed, because you know the default window manager here is Compass, not Kwin. So those are all been removed from the system panel, so you don't get people sort of editing something that they don't know what they're editing and then conflicting. So that's all gone. But Compass is running very well. It's very pretty. I mean, this is as pretty as you get on any kind of desktop. And so yeah, that's pretty much where I am at the moment. I have the system running very stable. It's currently based on KDE 4.14.2, Dolphin as well, 4.14.2. So that's pretty much almost up to date with the latest KDE, obviously. Got a nice dual menu system running. Got this beautiful theme with this, you know, Compass making it just this really awesome. Everything's awesome. A lot of transparency you can actually see there. Only on certain things though. For example, your main file manager's got transparency on it, but also not just enough, you know, not too much. You can still see everything and so forth without having that, you know, plain look. Things like Firefox, for example, has no transparency at all, and the reason for that is mainly because, you know, here you are going to be viewing websites, sometimes movie clips and things, and you don't want a background showing through something like a movie clip or a picture or anything like that. So so I've spent a lot of time even doing that, you know, making sure some items have some transparency on, others don't. Like I said, I've spent a lot of time on this. I've also, like the previous KDE version, I've also included a nice little news reader, so you can sort of get all the latest news from the Makulu website. Very quick, very simple. It's just one click you can view the news, one click it's gone again, and it's also transparent, you know, and it blends with the theme very well. So yeah, so this is the KDE currently as it's standing right now. Very pretty, very awesome, very fast. I don't know if you've been watching the speed while I was doing, you know, just pulling things around and so forth. This is inside virtual machine or virtual box, and I tell you, it is running so fast. It almost feels like I'm running XFCE. Yeah, I was kind of shocked myself, you know, at the speed it was possible to get. So very pretty, very fast, very stable. So yeah, that's pretty much this is, I think I could probably classify this as the Alpha 2, because I've done quite a lot of work since the first video I've made. I'm leaving the end of Feb. You know, I don't want to say end of Feb, because I know the school's only open in China at the end of Feb, so most likely the first or second week of March. I'm sort of targeting somewhere around there that I want to leave South Africa and go to China. So I'm trying to get this version out before then, so I would say release date within the next month, give or take. I'm currently doing quite a bit of work on the installer. You know, the KDE installer is different to the other installers, so I'm kind of focusing on that. Focusing a lot on the applications, because KDE always has its own sort of built-in applications, and I have to do a lot of modifications there. So yeah, basically in a nutshell, I'm keeping things standard. Whatever you saw, see the quotes just changed as well. Whatever you used to in XFCE and Cinnamon, you're going to see a lot of that in KDE as well. So in a way, I'm keeping the standard look all across every single distro that I do, with the dual menu system, the same sort of effects, similar themes, the same icon themes, the same kind of all the same items on the desktop. So yeah, of course I haven't gotten to all the wallpapers and stuff yet. That will come in time. As always, you'll probably get a whole bunch of really pretty stuff that will go onto the desktop still. This is still very early alpha version. So yeah, but in a nutshell, that is where I am right now. I've just been working on the awesomeness to get it to look so pretty and feel so pretty and run so pretty. So yeah, I guess this is the update video on that, just to sort of create some buzz, let the users know that work is being done, and that they'll be able to run this version soon, I guess. So this is Jacques from MakuluLinux, bringing you this update. Again, I'm just going to recap quickly. The biggest change here is that Compass is enabled by default, not Kwin, and the main reason for that, I guess, is why not? You know, I can do it, so why not do it? I know there's going to be people that like to use Kwin, and if you do, you can either find a way to reintegrate it, although like I said, I've literally deleted it, not just uninstalled it. I've deleted a lot of stuff, so I would not recommend trying to go back to the default Kwin on this edition. You're just going to have a lot of issues with that. If you want to run Kwin, you're most likely going to have to go to another distro, and I know a lot of you people might be upset about that, but you know, don't knock something before you've tried it. So I would urge you to at least try this version. I think it might just surprise you. It does run much lighter on resources. It is much faster than the default KDE, and much prettier by a mile. So all advantages. I don't see any kind of disadvantages. Yeah, so this is Jacques signing out. I wish you guys a pleasant month ahead. Keep a lookout for more videos. I'll be making quite a few as time goes on, and updates on the website. So yeah, I'll chat to you guys later. Cheers.